Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're diving into another chilling case that will leave you questioning everything. On April 7, 2024, the Mrs. BTA beauty pageant took place in Anulin, UD Republic of BTA, Russia. It was a night that would change the life of 30-year-old CE's Bu Noah, a mother of two, forever. She was crowned Mrs. Top Model, and her name became synonymous with beauty and glamour across the country. But, in an instant, she vanished into thin air. Just 4 days after her big win, CE's went missing, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. For 4 months, investigators, relatives, and concerned citizens have been searching for her, but every lead seems to end in a dead end. As the investigation unfolds, the mystery deepens, and creepy speculations begin to emerge. Join me today as we delve into the mysteries of this case and try to uncover the truth behind the disappearance of the beauty queen of Eastern Siberia. On April 11th, CE's made a phone call to her husband Boris, who was away on a business trip. She asked him to send money for groceries and then told him she'd be busy with household chores. But, little did he know, she had other plans. That evening, CE's decided to moonlight as a cab driver, a job she occasionally did to make ends meet. She drove her Mitsubishi Outlander, despite her husband's disapproval, especially when she worked late hours. However, CE's assured him that everything was fine, and she was in no danger. At 8 p.m., CE's left her house, and an hour and a half later, she was free to start her shift. But as the clock struck 10 p.m., her life took a drastic turn. On that fateful evening, CE's Bu Noah met up with her friends at a coffee shop. After a brief chat, her acquaintances bid her farewell and headed home. CE's promised her children she'd be home soon, and even called them to reassure them. But instead of driving back to her family, she headed to the Absolute Shopping Center. CCTV cameras captured a young man getting into her car, and the two of them stayed in the vehicle for about an hour. Later, a third man joined them, and the car drove out of the parking lot, heading towards the 800th block. That was the last time anyone saw CE's Bu Noah. She never returned home, and her disappearance would soon be linked to another mysterious case, that of Stanislav Norev. CE's Daria Bu Noah was born on July 8, 1993, in the small village of Tashir, Selinsky District, Republic of BTA. While little is known about her early years, one thing is certain. She grew up to be an active and ambitious person. She had a passion for dance and sports, particularly volleyball, which instilled in her an iron discipline and a strong will to win. After completing her secondary education, CE's moved to the capital and enrolled in the Bua State University in 2015. She graduated successfully and went on to register as an individual entrepreneur, specializing in eyelash extensions. Even today, her ads can be found online, inviting clients to try out her services. In December 2022, CE's took a bold step and opened a children's clothing store. In her spare time, As the investigation into CE's Bu Noah's disappearance continued, a surprising revelation came to light. The beauty queen had been moonlighting as a private carriage driver, a secret she kept hidden from her family and friends. But in her personal life, CE's was an open book. She shared every important moment on social media, even during her student years. CE's married young and became Bu Noah, a loving mother to two beautiful boys, Cole and Alexander. In 2024, her children were 9 and 8 years old, respectively. She was a devoted mother, raising her kids with love and care. Her husband Boris was a former law enforcement officer who worked in an organization that caught stray dogs. He was a private person who rarely appeared in joint photos, but those who knew him spoke highly of him. He loved and supported his creative wife, and the couple seemed to have a perfect relationship. CE's loved to travel, and her social media posts were filled with colorful photos from her trips to Moscow, St. Petersburg, Turkey, Thailand, and Cuba. She enjoyed dressing stylishly, taking care of herself and having fun. Often seen in local restaurants, clubs, and karaoke bars, CE's knew how to present herself, always wearing fashionable clothes and beautiful makeup. She even arranged professional photo shoots, showcasing her glamorous side. One day, CE's decided to take part in a national beauty contest. She easily passed the qualifying stage and found herself among the contestants. During the 2-month preparation, she shared every detail on her social media account, giving her followers a behind-the-scenes look at the contest. She posted about master classes, trainings, and secrets, building up to the final event. Finally, on April 7th, the final of the contest took place. CE's took to the stage, determined to show off her talent and beauty. She had come a long way, and this was her moment to shine. But, little did she know, her life was about to take a dramatic turn. CE's Boo Noah's journey to the top of the modeling world was a dream come true. She had always wanted to sing in front of a large audience, and she finally got her chance. "I am my family, my husband, and my children," she said during her performance. "My relatives who are always near and support me in all endeavors. I rejoice in life every new day and believe that each of us should be happy and fill this life with bright emotions. For me, happiness is my family. Every day, they give me new emotions, smiles, their love, and warmth." The jury was unanimous in their decision, and CE's was crowned Mrs. Top Model. She expected this to be the beginning of her path in the modeling business, but fate had other plans. Just a few days later, she disappeared without a trace. The flowers given to her at the event didn't even have time to wilt. The news of the beauty queen's disappearance spread quickly. Her husband Boris was the first to sound the alarm. He was in Khabov at the time and had thrown CE's a few photos from the trip, but she didn't respond. During the day he didn't hear from her, and after that he called his mother-in-law and asked her to go to their house in the village of Gorky, located on the outskirts of Anand-ud. When Boris's mother-in-law arrived, she found the children alone, and CE's had not been there since the previous evening. Boris immediately flew to Utk and drove to Gorky on the morning of April 14th. By that time, Cessa's relatives had already reported her disappearance to the police. Law enforcement officers didn't hesitate and quickly organized a search operation. They were joined by volunteers from the specialized search and rescue team, Liza Alert. On the evening of April 12th, a post was made on social networks, and leaflets were distributed all over the city. Information was collected, and more than 500 people were involved in the search. Many places were combed, including Vakmistru, Medvi Chico Settlement, 100th micro-districts, forests, and riverbanks. The search party was determined to find CE's, but as the days went by, hope began to dwindle. Where had the beauty queen gone? A new lead. Stanislav's sister, Nadis Doublebanova, learned the terrible news about her brother when his name unexpectedly surfaced in the investigation. Stanislav's mother was shocked, saying that she saw her son on the evening of April 11th. He stopped by her house to have dinner, and after that, he received a phone call and left. The guy didn't say who called, but he was in an upbeat mood. He said that he would go to his apartment and get some sleep. Stanislav's mother noted that he initially came in work clothes, but he soon changed his clothes and hurried away. He was a well-studied, cheerful person who graduated from the construction faculty of the East Siberian State University of Technology and Management. He was fond of soccer, served in the army, and worked by profession in the road department. "My son has always been my support," Nina Nora said about him. People close to him characterized him as a calm and judicious person who led a healthy lifestyle and practiced sports. The investigation had uncovered a new lead, but the question remained: what happened to Stanislav and CE's? Unraveling the mystery. As the investigation continued, it became clear that Stanislav Norev and CE's Boo Noah did not meet by chance. Something linked the young people, but what exactly it was remained a mystery. Relatives of the missing decided to find out how they were connected to each other. Two versions of the story. There are two versions of how Stanislav and CE's met. According to Katerina, a friend of CE's, they met about a week ago in a nightclub. Before the institution closed, the man invited CE's, who liked him, to a slow dance. After that, he found CE's on social networks and started flooding her with messages. CE's confessed to her friend that she did not exchange contacts with him, but Stanislav was stubborn and insisted on communication. Katerina was perplexed, saying that Stanislav knew CE's was a married woman with children and his behavior was alarming. Moreover, it later turned out that CE's was not the only one to whom he wrote. Other women were also found. Relatives and acquaintances hastened to dispel all doubts about Stanislav's character. They made an official statement that Norev is a good man who is not capable of kidnapping and even worse. At the same time, another close friend claimed that CE's and Stanislav had met much earlier. Allegedly, they often crossed paths at training sessions, as they both loved volleyball. This led to another popular version, that romantic feelings had arisen between them. about which Boris, Ses's husband, soon learned. Allegedly, Ses's husband could not survive the treason and decided to teach the unfaithful wife a lesson. Perhaps something did not go according to plan, so instead of scaring the lovers, he killed them. Either it was originally about ruthless revenge. This theory is explained by other facts which will be revealed later. The investigation was getting more complex with multiple theories and versions emerging, but one thing was certain: the truth behind CE's and Stanislav's disappearance was still hidden, and it was up to the investigators to uncover it. As the investigation into the disappearance of CE's Bu Noah and Stanislav Norev continues, the authorities are still trying to piece together the events surrounding their vanishing. One person who has been under scrutiny is Boris, Ses's husband. In an interview, Boris expressed his frustration with the investigative committee, stating that they are not sharing any information with him, not even regarding the conducted examinations. For example, they found some earring, but at the same time, they did not notify me, did not invite me to the identification, he complained. Boris also reported that the authorities seized the video from his phone, which he believes is an attempt to vilify him. Boris maintains that if he was really involved in the case, he would already be behind bars. "Who accuses me? It's their right, their understatement," he stated. Despite the suspicions surrounding him, Boris's relatives and friends believe that he is innocent. They point to the fact that the couple had plans for the future, including making repairs to their home and having a third child, a girl. As the investigation continues, new evidence has come to light. Bloodstains were found on the vacant lot where Stanislav's belongings were discovered, and later, it was confirmed that they belonged to him. A few days after the investigation began, Ses's car was found parked with twisted license plates in one of the yards. The resident of the apartment building where the car was found reported that it had been there for several days and the owner had not shown up. Inspecting the car. When Boris arrived on the spot, he recognized his wife's car, but, it was empty. After inspection, sand, dust, and a small branch were found in the cabin, suggesting that the car had been in a natural environment, such as maybe a vacant lot. On the windows of the Mitsubishi and the driver's door there were visible traces of blood, and in the trunk, there were removed license plates. A genetic examination revealed that the blood found belonged to CE's. Unfortunately, it was not possible to establish when exactly the vehicle was left in the yard. The investigation continues and, well, more questions remain unanswered. What happened to CE's and Stanislav? Who is responsible for their disappearance? The authorities are working to uncover the truth, but for now, the mystery remains unsolved. Piecing together the events, the investigation into the disappearance of CE's Bu Noah and Stanislav Norev has taken a significant turn. The testimony of an eyewitness has provided a crucial lead, and the specialists have studied the recordings from the video surveillance cameras to piece together what happened. At 8:52 p.m., CE's finished her last order on the route Barno-Skaya-Armavirskaya. 5 minutes later, she called her friend and proposed to meet near the Krona Flower Salon on Bakanova Street. They met, chatted with another friend, and stopped by a cafe. After a friendly conversation, everyone went their separate ways. However, instead of heading home, CE's drove up to a shopping center located at 158 Babushkina Street at 10:41 p.m. 4 minutes later, Stanislav Norev drove up to her. After that, the man moved into a black Mitsubishi where the young people stayed for about an hour. Then, another man appeared out of nowhere, joined them, and they drove off in an unknown direction. At 12:19 a.m., street cameras recorded the Mitsubishi at the intersection of Babushkina and Reno Streets, moving towards Dua Street. Further, their trail disappeared. In addition, the investigators managed to establish that at 12:44 a.m., CE's visited her telegram for the last time. An hour later, her car was speeding back at breakneck speed. On April 12th, at 6:28 a.m., Boris's cell phone was fixed at 5 Sakova Street, which is not far from where Ses's Mitsubishi was later found. As new leads emerged, the possibility of finding the missing alive was melting before our eyes. But the main mystery perhaps is the identity of the third person who got into the car. Investigators are in no hurry to name him, but there are reports that he previously worked in the police. This version arose after the guards of the industrial area where the things were found earlier shed light on the ill-fated night. The drivers of passing trains noticed that around 1 a.m. there was a car in the vacant lot and they saw a man near the railroad tracks. For safety reasons, they reported the matter to their superiors. Several guards have come forward, providing crucial information that may help solve the case. The guards decided to investigate the situation further and went to the location. When they arrived, they saw a man wearing a cap driving a car. They approached him and asked what he was doing there. The man replied that the car had stalled and then showed his police identification card. When the guards decided to check the surrounding area, the car suddenly started and drove away. They later identified the vehicle as CE's Bunoa's car. Unfortunately, they could not remember the appearance and the data given in the ID card. The employee of the industrial zone referred to the dark time of day and poor visibility. The fact that the mystery passenger was not simple was indicated by many things, including the place where the car was located. It turns out that he was standing in the blind spot from the nearest CCTV cameras. This raised even more questions about his identity and intentions. After a while, the popular show Malakoff on the television channel took up the investigation of the case. In the course of the show, different versions of what happened were discussed. Relatives of the missing and experts were present in the studio. However, the most important were unique footage from CCTV cameras which were shown for the first time. The CCTV footage showed how a car similar to Cess's car drives into the vacant lot and stops. Then several people get out of it and some movements resembling a fight begin. One of them falls down, and the other pulls something large and long away from the car. Then the man who was pulling something gets back into the car and drives away. However, 45 minutes later, he returns again. As time passed, two unknown men approached him, and then the headlights went out, and the picture disappeared. Perhaps the released video will give a new twist to the tangled case, and there will be positive developments in it. Among other things, there are plenty of oddities in the disappearance of CE's and Stanislav on the night of April 11th to 12th, not far from where the evidence was found out. As the investigation into the disappearance of CE's Bunoa and Stanislav Norev continues, new developments have raised even more questions. Some people believe that the burning of buildings in the area was not accidental, but rather a deliberate act of arson to destroy all traces of evidence. To make matters more suspicious, unknown persons poured concrete on the place where Tess's Mitsubishi with 3 passengers was supposedly located the next day. One thing is clear, the case is covered with mystery, and someone is deliberately preventing its disclosure. The search operation, which was initially conducted with great enthusiasm, suddenly stopped by April 17th. Hundreds of volunteers had combed Domo NAA Street and the entire industrial zone, searching abandoned buildings, ravines, and woodlands, as well as conducting searches in the water area of the river. However, the search operation was problematic due to the ice drift at that time. Despite the efforts of the search group, Iowa Alert announced the suspension of its activities on social media. The leadership explained that their headquarters had done a tremendous amount of work in 5 days, but they did not finish their work. The text read, "The search for CEs and Stanislav continues. We are waiting for new evidence, ready to process it and go on autonomous tasks." During this time, several other items have been found in the investigation area that could conceivably belong to CEs, including women's boots, an e-cigarette, and a hat. However, only a man's jacket with documents and keys have been officially confirmed. The other items may not be related to the case, or information about them is not being disclosed. Volunteers noted that there is a lot of garbage and miscellaneous junk on the vacant lot, which makes the inspection much more difficult. The search for CEs Bunoa and Stanislav Norev continues to this day, with the relatives of the missing joining their efforts. Despite the suspicions that have arisen about Stanislav, families and their acquaintances take to the streets after working hours and on weekends. There are about 10 of them, and strangers are calling, interested in the results, worried, and offering help. Now, law enforcers, family, and friends are doing it. We would like to once again gather volunteers and walk the place where CEs Bu Noah and Stanislav Norev were last seen. The children are waiting for their mom, and they don't know what happened. So far we have told them that mom has left. Shared Svetlana Miova, Ses's aunt Nina Nora, said that she feels that her son is alive. The woman stated that she would believe it until she was convinced. The silence was interrupted, and it is striking that after the public outcry, there is a sharp silence. People are perplexed and speculate why the Liza Alert Squad, after finding important leads, quickly called off the search and afterward closed comments to posts about CEs, explaining it with ethical considerations. In the first week, hundreds of people dropped what they were doing and took to the streets in search of the missing. Understandably, they were extremely outraged and waited for some kind of explanation. Finally, on May 29th, the authorities broke the silence and made an official statement. They reported that murder is being considered as the main version, and the suspect is the person who got into Ses's car near the shopping center. Work is underway to improve the quality of the video footage to identify the person. Otherwise, investigative, operative search, and search activities continue in the criminal case. At this point in the case of CE's and Stanislav's disappearance, there are the following official leads. First, items found in the vacant lot, Norbuv's jacket, keys, and driver's license. Second, other items, the identity of which is not known. Third, a large bloodstain found in the vacant lot. Fourth, a woman's car left in the yard with no license plates and bloodstains. Fifth, CCTV footage showing the route of the Mitsubishi on the night of April 11th to 12th. Lastly, testimony of witnesses and eyewitnesses. Forensic and genomic tests are being conducted on the available evidence. No further information is available. The main theory is murder. The first person who comes to mind is Boris Buo. He may well have been involved in the massacre, and the infidelity of his wife could be the motive for the crime. Speculation and theories, but this is just speculation. Ses's relatives reported that they did not find any compromising correspondence in Ses's computer. Boris admitted that he had been questioned by investigators more than once and passed a polygraph. At the same time, many circumstances raised doubts. Doubts and questions. Firstly, Boris's work in law enforcement agencies in the past raises questions. We remember that the unknown man showed his service ID and could well be a former colleague of the suspect. Secondly, Bob's strange business trip on the day of his wife's disappearance, 1,500 miles away, seems suspicious. It's as if he took care of his alibi in advance. The second issue is the questionable nature of the trip itself, regarding the capture of stray dogs, especially over such a long distance. Theories and versions. Thirdly, we know his expensive automobile was not destroyed, and after all, it is a jointly acquired property. In case of what, it will always be able to dispose of the second spouse. The second version is kidnapping. Allegedly, Stanislav fell so much in love with a woman who did not reciprocate that he stole her. However, this raises many questions. Who was the third person in the car, and for what purpose? Is CE's alive at this point, and if so, where is she? More theories. The next theory is a criminal showdown over debts. It is possible that at one time the woman sought financial help from people with a criminal lifestyle, perhaps to build a business or maybe in preparation for a beauty pageant. When the time came to pay off her debts, something went wrong, hence C's desire to moonlight as a cab driver. Also, on the day she disappeared, she asked her husband for some money, obviously a small amount, but there is a possibility that she was collecting the necessary amount that would explain Stanislav's presence in Bu Noah's car. The fourth version is the most banal but quite possible. CE's and Stanislav could have encountered an inadequate traveling companion, especially after the contest Mrs. Butia 2024. The woman was widely known, and the criminal could have been her secret admirer who put his sick fantasy into practice. There is another version of events. What if the two lovers simply ran away and, to be forgotten in time, were forced to stage a crime? Although it is unlikely that the young people would go for such a thing, CE's had children, and she would never abandon them. Stannis had a mother and a sister. There are few people willing to build their happiness on the misfortune of others. Instead of the bottom line, as we can see, there are many versions of events. It is possible that over time, in the case of Bova and Norev, something will become clearer. However, it may also happen that we will never know what really happened. However, this investigation has brought us a little closer to solving a very strange disappearance. And what do you think was the cause of the terrible events of April 9th in an NUD? Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel. There are many shocking stories ahead of you.